a disaster. Manchester United below it. The crumble is happening. The mentality is gone. Heads have got to roll because this Manchester United team has lost 2 on the bounce. 3 away games on the bounce we've capitulated. Where in all of them we start off well. We create opportunities. We are marginally the better team, maybe not against Brighton, but much better than West Ham, much better than Tottenham. But what happens? Mudded in the brain. I've been talking about this for many, many years on the football terrace. Many, many years on the football terrace. Tactics are important. Ability is important. But none of it counts for if your mentality is weak. And too many of these Manchester United players are crumbling at the most important stage of the season. You know, we talk about world-class form. Oh, this player's performing amazingly right now. Wow, look what my goalkeeper's doing. Generalistic terms here. Let's look at how our players perform at the most pivotal moments in the run-in in a season. When they're tired, when they want to give up, when the odds are stacked against them. And Man United are on the course towards bottling this top 4 position, which will leave the season, if we do it in that manner, as rank failure. There will be little to no improvement because this form is going to mean we lose to City in the FA Cup final as well. The regression is so bad. If I regressed as a man this much, I'd be sucking on my mummy's tit for milk. That's how bad the regression is right now from these players. And how did this game go? Well, a lot of people are going to focus on Weghorst starting. They're going to focus on Bruno out on the left. That isn't the problem for me. We started this game, and let's just... there's a little statometer here. I'm going to move it down to their goal, okay? The first 27 minutes of the game. We had 7 shots. We'd hit the post twice. They had speculative efforts. They weren't doing anything. We had 60% of the ball. We were dominating them. It felt a matter of time before Manchester United scored the goals to win this game. So I don't have any issue with the starting lineup. I have no issue with how we started the game because we were dominating it. They were sitting back. It was easy for us. But this is where mentality comes in. David De Gea concedes the most ludicrous, the most pathetic, biscuit, wafer-thin wrist goal I have ever seen in my life. I don't remember seeing, at the highest level of the Premier League, a weaker save. A weaker save than that. Yes, his foot slipped, but he still got a whole hand to the ball. Listen, Benrahma should celebrate. He scored a goal. In tennis, they'd hold their hands up and go, yeah, sorry, I got a point there. I shouldn't. It was a fluke. It was a fluke goal, even though the shot was on target. It was a P-roller. My 4-year-old daughter would have saved that. 110%. My 3-year-old son could have trapped it with his eyes shut. David De Gea has made one too many mistakes. David De Gea has made one too many errors. One too many errors in a Man United shirt for me now. I can understand he's poor playing out from the back. He wasn't developed as a goalkeeper in an era where that was as essential. It's become a more modern day thing. He just missed that group where it was like your ability on your feet was looked at as every bit as important as your hands. But those types of mistakes today, they're unforgivable. And there's too many of them coupled in with him being bad with his feet. You couple those two things together, we need a new number 1 goalkeeper. I ain't scapegoating him as the only reason. I'll get onto that in a minute. Because from that point, everybody else, from the captain Bruno to Marcus Rashford to Martial that came on, none of them believed. None of them believed. And I could see it. I could absolutely see it. I could see it. I could smell it through my television screen. Zero belief. West Ham believed. West Ham don't have better players than Man United. They don't have a better manager and better tactics. Mentality. Mentality. That's why there's so many billionaires out there that don't even have college degrees, but so many highly educated people that can't get a job. Mentality. This team is weak. And I feel right now, listen, I might in 3 weeks' time feel very different. But at this moment, at this specific placement and time, I feel hoodwinked. I feel like I've been defrauded by some fake prince in an email. Don't ever respond to them. Like I've done the Spanish lottery that I never entered. I legitimately feel defrauded. Like I've been catfished. And the love of my life is really some bloke I knew from school winding me up. They lured me in to think their mentality had changed. And as of right now, it hasn't. Because I've got to keep the same damn energy. And I always talk about Harry Kane can't be rated higher than Aguero or Rooney because he's got more goals. They did it in run-ins. They did it in title challenging seasons, multiple trophy winning seasons for a decade when the pressure was on to this degree. So although I believed and I felt my team had turned a corner, they're proving to me they haven't. These last 3 away games are an abomination. And people will focus on, people are going to turn around and focus on like, well, was it this defeat or was it that loss? No. After our bad moments this season, we've actually responded really well. This is the crunch time that's done it. It's nothing to do with what City did to us earlier on in the season. It's nothing to do with what Arsenal did to us at the Emirates or what Liverpool did to us. That's not in their minds. It's, oh my God, we're nearly there. We're nearly over the line. They're fumbling the ball. They're fumbling the ball at the last moment. That is all this is. Weak mentality. Erik ten Hag has got a massive, an absolutely huge job this summer. It's gargantuan because it isn't just about bringing in players with the technical ability. It's shipping out the individuals that are that shrivel up when we need them to grow. That is where winning is done. I may wake up tomorrow morning calmer and feel a little bit different. We may beat Wolves this coming weekend, and I'll feel a little bit different. But as of right now, there's no way we're winning 3 from 4 games playing like this. Absolutely no way. Yes, we've got home games to come, and we're better at home, and I understand that. But there's a part of me that's getting towards a stage now where we're going to end this season, and there's a bitterness creeping into me. I can feel a bitterness creeping into me. Because we're not ending the season well enough. We're not showing that we're going to get, we're going to fall over the line again, maybe. And yeah, great, we'll get better in the summer. But sometimes you learn more through losing. I'm so angry at these guys today. So frustrated because the panel may say different to me, and they're absolutely welcome to. You may say different in the comments. You're absolutely welcome to. But this is all in their heads for me. 110%. Battering Spurs. No reason for them to get back in the game. Heads go. Playing well against Brighton. Well in the game. Ample chances in the first half. The longer the second half goes on, the more we sit back, the more our heads go. Today, absolutely fine up until they score a goal. And then our heads go. How many second half performances in the last 2 months have Man United capitulated, come out flat? The manager isn't saying, it's okay, guys, we'll win this one, chill out. It's them. In my opinion, I know rivals won't agree. They want it to go. Listen, and Ten Hag hasn't been perfect, and I've criticised him in games. But when I looked at today, I saw people, I can't believe Weghorst is on the pitch. It's why we're losing. We were creating all the chances. We had all the ball. They were doing nothing with him on the pitch. We hit the post twice. That's how close we were. As soon as the goal went in, done, finished, dead. And as I said before, and I'll say again, mentality is everything in all sports, at all moments, at all times. It's what gets you through. And Man United lack it in abundance. We lack it in abundance. And I got suckered into thinking we'd really turned the corner. And I think we're on the bend. We're on the bend. But, like, we might go back the other way if we're not careful. We have to push through this. We have to end this season strong. And prove me wrong. Prove me goddamn wrong. Beat Wolves. Beat Chelsea. Win 4 in 4. Bounce back. So shut your mouth, Fluers. You're wrong. We have got the right mentality. That's what I want. I want to be wrong about this. But I got an horrible gut feeling. I've got an horrible gut feeling that we are going to fail now at the end of this season. Because from where we got ourselves, up until the last 3 weeks, we've been overachieving, comfortably in top 4, in an FA Cup final, won the League Cup. We could throw that all away with bad mentality. And any Man United fan not calling this out, you are a problem at this football club. I'm not saying abuse the players. I'm not saying sack the manager. So I don't think a lot of it is down to, I think some of it's down to him, and he's got to learn from that. All managers make mistakes. But so many of these players have got to go. And tonight, again, my mind might change in the morning. Tonight, I don't care what one of them leaves. Probably barring Casemiro. If tonight it was announced that the rest were all being sold, I'd go, great. Tonight, I can't stand them. Tonight, I ain't their friend. Tonight, they've disgraced my football club. It is absolutely preposterous. Preposterous what they have done. Super chat here says, I can't believe we actually have a top 4 race. Changes very quickly. Even if Liverpool miss out, we should go into next season with momentum and optimism. You should, Daniel, and there is a top 4 race, 110%. And I've been saying it for about 2 or 3 weeks, and everyone's been no. I can see it. If you know football, you can see it coming. Our performances weren't there. What do we judge football clubs on? Football teams on? Performances weren't there. Veghorst played 60 minutes too many. David De Gea out now. Yeah, look, there should have been a change at halftime. There should have been a rocket up their ass. And you know what? Take De Gea off. Drop him. Maybe that's what needs to happen. Maybe there needs to be a drastic measure. I didn't watch the match, but I don't know what that means. I don't know what that emoji, the way to describe it is for United, but thank you. Terry, believe it or not, I will kill the changing room. We wouldn't go that far, but I hear you. I know you mean it metaphorically. Big ball bounce over his head. Should save it. Unlucky. Oh, right. No, the ball didn't bounce over his head. He got his hand to it, bro. It didn't bounce over his head. Terry, I really feel bad about how hurt your team. I mean, listen, if anyone feels bad for me, I appreciate that on a human level. I can take the banter. Listen, I'm going to get it big on when the panel comes out. I'll get it big on the top 6 show tomorrow because I was confident my team would make it into the top 4. But that's why I'm angry. I'm not going to lie and twist it and give excuses. This is down to bad mentality. And they need to be called out for it 110%. United-Liverpool race is like Arsenal and Tottenham's one. It could end up being like that. It could. Isn't it ironic that from the news that the Glazers are about to stay, the team is dropping off, plus that starting team was wrong from Ten Hag, Bruno on the left? I mean, yeah, there could be some correlation in that maybe. Martial should have started instead of Veghorst. I mean, barring that run at the end and the shot, I mean, he came on and did nothing again. What would him starting have done? Maybe we would have scored a goal earlier and it would have changed the game. But it's not like he's been ripping up trees recently. Honestly, United need a striker so badly. We need more than that. We need new fullbacks. We need extra midfielders. Neeks must be banned from the club. This is on him. Yeah, football gods. It's what always happens. I told Man United fans as well, like, when we didn't qualify, when we came second in the Europa League group, I'm like, it's going to hurt us. Why? Because it's 2 more games. We ain't got the squad for it. People just don't listen. People just don't listen. I would abuse, especially those players. Now, you don't abuse players, my friend. Terry, we need to have to focus on Ten Hag. 3 goals from our last 5 games. Man United fans will do what they do best and blame individual players. That's then if you can describe to me, see, this is why I wouldn't blame the manager for this. A really good challenge. But why would I not blame the manager for us not scoring goals? Because we've missed gilt edged chances. Unless he's not letting them practice shooting in training, I don't see how David De Gea is accountable for players missing chances. I don't, it's not on him for me. We've had the opportunities, we've broken teams, we've opened them up. So that's why for me, I don't look at it and think, De Gea is to blame for that. We work the ball into the right areas in every game in the last 5. In every single one of those games. I'm just going to look at those last 5 games so I remember them all, that we've only scored the 5 goals in. We had ample chances tonight to score. We had 4 or 5 big chances against Brighton. Villa, we were comfortable. We should have scored. I swear we had 4 or 5 big chances in that game. Spurs, crazy that we didn't beat them. Brighton in the FA Cup, no, I didn't think we were that great in that, although we had chance on the counter. Nottingham Forest, we won 2-0. That was ages ago now, that game. But we should have scored 4, 5, 6 goals on that day. Killing teams off has been our problem. Now, Rashford's going for a little dry patch again. People go, why ain't you riding out on him? The man's got 29 goals this year. Other people have got to step up. And they're missing gilt-edged chances. Why, though? They weren't missing these chances a month ago. What's changed? The pressure. But if you want to blame the manager, I do hear you. Tell me why, though. I want to hear it. I remember Terry going in on the panel members for suggesting Man United could miss out on the top 4. When did I do that? When did I do that? I was the one on the last couple of shows saying we need to be careful here. Now, what I have done this season is when Man United have been discounted that we had no chance, that's different. If we miss out on the final day of the season, saying we didn't have a chance is wrong because we literally did until the final day. But there we go. Terry, if you don't make top 4, would you swap the Carabao Cup for top 4? It isn't even about the top 4 position. It's not about what I'm winning. It's about the lack of mentality at the right time. Terry's so mad he's spitting words that don't exist. Probably. Like what? What word don't exist? Man United needs to an upgrade on Bruno. That shot he took. Oh, listen, I was fuming with him today. That shot at the end was stupid. Crossed the ball into the box. Absolutely. And listen, as it stands right now, at this moment, and I might change my mind tomorrow, I ain't defending any of these players tonight. Not a single one of them. As an Arsenal fan, I want to banter, but I'd rather have Man United as rivals than Man City. So I feel a little bad for you guys. But 3 from 4 is doable. 3 from 4 is only doable if we're playing to a certain level of quality. Now, we might win our next 2 games, and everyone will go, look, United look pretty comfortable from that point. But I don't know. I've got no faith in this team right now. I've lost faith in them at the business end of the season. I've got no confidence of doing it. Terry, why can't Martial finish his breakfast? Absolutely shocking. I'm disgusted by De Gea. Players need to grow some balls and man up. Martial's shot. He's shot. He's half a yard too slow. He's stretching at everything. Mentality's gone. Because Weghorst slows our attack, to be honest. I hear you, but we were dominating the game, and we had all the chances before that goal when he was on. Afterwards, with or without him on the pitch, nothing. I don't think it was because Weghorst was playing that we lost. I think almost inconsequential to me. Not gonna lie, I will cop for all the old players now, including Bruno and Rashford. They don't care about the fans and I don't know what that word says. I can't read it. My dyslexia kicked in. Sell them. We are bottlers. This aren't we? KJ here says, boss, just wanted to say I was wrong. We are still bottlers. The mentality hasn't changed yet. The performances speak for themselves. We won't get top 4 or win the FA Cup. Summer can't come fast enough. That's from a man like KJ, who wasn't working today. I feel a bit sorry for him because he'll get cooked now. Kaz cursed you, man. Every time he goes on DR Sports, you guys hold an L. Big up T. Touched by your video. Stay blessed. Thank you very much, Pimp. Pimp. I appreciate that and your kind words. How long will De Gea keep playing? Listen, they talk about New Deal. I understand why. You said preposterous instead of yeah, but that's my accent, bruv. You know exactly what I mean. I say house with a capital O, but you know I mean a house with a H. I say horse, but the animal that's a horse has a H in it. I say horse with an O. It's accent, bruv, vernacular. But I hear you, G. De Gea, I don't know. I don't even. I'm letting my panel handle it. I actually can't. I'm so done with him. And it hurts me because he's done so much great stuff for the club. You know, he's won us leagues, won us trophies. When we were really bad at certain points, this guy stopped us from dropping mid-table. But I can't do the sentimentality. I absolutely can't do the sentimentality around him. Absolutely can't. Panel time now, people. Hit the like button, hit the share button. Let's go. Welcome back, one and all. Staffy, to you first as a United fan. An embarrassing night. I can't hear you, bro.
You hear me?
Yeah, there we go, mate.
My bad. I had you on mute. I was saying thank you to the panel. Where's all the Man United fans? They left me alone on this one. So I'm going to have to do a carry job here. But yeah, man, disappointing, bro. Honestly, bro, you said it perfectly, Terry. I'm just fed up with De Gea. Like, I defend this guy a lot, bro. A lot. And when the one thing you're good at is shot stopping, and this is what we use to defend you with. And then today we concede a goal in like the first 20 minutes it was, because you couldn't stop a shot that was traveling like 5 miles per hour. It wasn't even a real shot. It wasn't like a clean hit. There was nothing dangerous about it. And you fumble it like that. I just can't defend you anymore, bro. I really can't. Like, I'm just exhausted from talking about this guy, man. Yeah, it's just too much. It's from his footballing ability with his feet, passing from the back, and now it's shot stopping. Come on, man. Like, it's 5 games left on the season. This is when you need everyone to be focused. Every team right now that's playing for something, every game that's left is like a cup final. Whether you're going for the league, for the top 4, avoiding relegation, all these teams are locked in. You know, they're all playing cup final after cup final until they reach their goal. And today you needed everyone to be 100%, especially after a defeat against Brighton. You're trying to bounce back. And like you said, man, like the heads were gone after that goal. Like, when you're playing, bro, I always talk about mentality, and people want to talk about tactics, but mentality is really big in this game, and people need to understand that. When you're playing and your goalkeeper makes a mistake like that in the first 20 minutes, you can see that at least like that first half, for the remainder of that first half, all the heads were gone. Because the game was comfortable, man. We had the ball. Yes, we weren't creating big chances. We had a few half chances where we hit the bar, we hit the post twice. You know, Bruno, like his shot was like an inch off the goal. You know, it looked like it was coming. You know what I mean? And then just something like that, just messes with everyone's head for the rest of the half, and it just pisses me off that it had to be De Gea again. You know, from the Sevilla game to this game, I just don't even want to talk about it anymore, bro. I need this guy gone.
Mate, I hear you completely, and I know a lot of people disagree with the mentality aspect, but if I just look at these last 3 away games, the way we fell apart in them wasn't tactical, especially the last West Ham and Tottenham, because we were in the ascendancy. We just didn't score tonight against West Ham, but it felt like it was coming. I watched the first 20 minutes, ending the other stream. I had a smile on my face. I'm like, we've got the ball. There's no pressure. They're doing nothing to us. We're going to score in a minute. And then De Gea ruins it. But the reason I want to focus, look, De Gea deserves all the criticism. But like I said earlier, and I want to get Mo's view on this. The players don't get a get out of jail free card because of one mistake in the 27th minute. Surely not.
Yeah, okay. You had 80 minutes after, or 74 minutes to play. If I'm not, why West Ham had more touches in the box? Why they had better XG? Why I felt every time West Ham got the ball, they can create something, and they were comfortable defensively. But Man United didn't. You had 27 minutes. Yes, you couldn't score, but that's not the end of the day. And I know that you guys, Man United fans, you want to blame the players. I hear you. But I really have to look at the manager. He's suspect away from home, because when you started the game, yes, you started in the counter attack, but this is West Ham. He changes the way you play when he goes away from home.
We didn't start off on the counter, Mo. We didn't start off on the counter, though. No, we
I'm,
didn't.
I'm
We were watching different games. All our chances was us having possession in their half. We didn't concede. If anything, we conceded off the counter. That shot from Benrahma, that was a counter attack.
still, it was the game in the beginning of 20 minutes, it was 50-50, Mustafa. And then you gotta go on them. You gotta go on them. This is West Ham. You need to pin them back. Somehow it didn't happen. But anyway, Terry asked about that after the 27 minutes. It's you weren't in the right places. The exchange of players weren't correct. Tactically, I thought you were poor. And I'm not in the dressing room. So I wouldn't know if it's instructions or players' mentality. All I see is what's in front of me. And what's in front of me is a team that was disjointed. No belief. Nobody was in the right place. You didn't create enough chances. You had 4 shots on target in about 18 minutes. Why didn't you create enough chances? And is that on the manager, on the players? Us as fans, we only ask questions for these guys.
So,
I'm
okay,
looking here at Man United and I'm like,
bro. But I'll answer the question for you. So up until
go
their
ahead.
goal, we had 7 shots to their 1, and we had 64% of the ball, and they had 1 touch in our box in that whole time. So up until the goal, we had the possession, we had hit the post twice, right? From that point onwards, if I then move the cursor for the
Yep.
remainder of the game, since they scored the goal, it was 14 shots to them and 12 to us. We only had 12 more from that point. They had 14, but we had 70% of the ball after that. So we had more of the ball and less opportunities. What you just said there is right. They lacked belief. I hear you. Look, I wouldn't have started Weghorst. I would have started Sancho tonight and had Rashford through the middle because we had more of the ball, right? So there was a mistake there, you could argue. However, if De Gea doesn't make that mistake, I think we carry on playing as we were and we score a goal and we win. It wouldn't have been a 3 or 4-0, but I believe we'd have won the game. We were actually moving the ball well. The touch was good. It was after that point, from 27 minutes onwards, it was one of the worst performances I've seen from Man United in a long time. And I include Ollie's era and Moyes' era in it. It felt that bad to me, but it's the lack of belief. And this team, and look, the manager had to take accountability as well. You're absolutely right. The fact we're so bad away from home, and it's being magnified during this run-in where the games are pressured. And look, if Liverpool would have lost 2 of their last 4 games, we'd have won tonight because we'd still have that 5, 6, 7-point gap and the pressure would be gone. These guys, there's too many players in this team that are bottle jobs. Kojo, what's your take as a United fan?
I've been saying this about this team for a while now. This is nothing new for me. The away records are a disgrace, but this is something that's been happening with Man United for a while now. If we're being very, very honest, it's been a certain group of players that we've had under certain management. Nothing's changed, and the mentality is still terrible. A long time ago on this show, I think about 3 years ago, I said that we need 17 new players, and people thought I was saying, within the space of a window, and I know that's not possible. But I was saying the squad needs an overhaul. And when you bring someone like Ten Hag who wants to bring his philosophy and his style of playing, you guys are right. We're dominating for the first 27 minutes, but we've had this at United before where we've dominated games for half an hour and then they just go missing. They go to sleep. A mistake happens and suddenly they don't have to control the game anymore. They don't have to assert their dominance over the team once again. And that's an error. That's a problem. It's a big, big problem. And also, I mean, yes, we've got some injuries, but West Ham are a team that are, of course, they're fighting for a lot. They're trying to stay in this league, trying to get that cushion to make sure they don't face relegation next season and lose a lot of their players to, low fees and stuff. But at the same time, you're talking about a team that's trying to also make the top 4, make the Champions League, a team that should be, in a year or 2 competing for the title, if I'm brutally honest. And this performance was quite frankly pathetic again. So, you said a lot of these players are bottle jobs. I can count on my hand about 4 players or 5 that I'd want to keep, and 2 of them are not currently on the pitch right now because they're injured. That's how bad I think this team is. So Ten Hag's got a big job. He's not escaping criticism from me. I question his lineups at time. I don't know why the hell Weghorst started. To be completely honest, he spoke about aerial battles and being good at heading, and I was sitting there thinking, in the 4 or 5 months he's been here, I don't think he's ever won a header, or I've seen him dominate aerially or do anything like that. So I don't know what that's about. Martial didn't do much better coming on anyway, but I'd rather him start, and I'm not even a big fan of his. So there's just a load of stuff that's just been piling up, but it's the same old with Man United. Just when you feel like they're getting somewhere, they've got a cushion. they
Mate,
do the same thing over and over.
I don't disagree with you, mate, and I feel very similar tonight. There's certain players in the last few weeks, and I throw Bruno into this. I as someone that I just think to myself, you've had such a great season,
Yep.
until this last month and a half, and then suddenly it's reverting to type. And we a lot of look, and it depends on who you like, right? So when Pogba was playing badly, the people that love Pogba or Martial would say it's the manager and the tactics. The people that hate Rashford and hate Bruno would say it's because they're crap, and vice versa. I've always been a bit more balanced. That I think they would all be better with a better manager and a better system, and we've seen that this year. But when it comes to the crunch, when it comes to the business end of the season, that's when it all becomes about your mindset. And I'm not saying they won't improve on this, but I'm saying right now the jury's out on all of them, because I really felt we'd turned a corner this year. I didn't think we would win our last 5, 6, 7 games and do it with complete ease, but I didn't expect. I know we drew with Spurs, but I look at it as 3 defeats in our last 4 games. That's how it feels to me as a Man United fan, because a draw after leading 2-0 against this Tottenham team is a goddamn defeat, and they all need to be questioned. And if we're a serious football club, that's what the management team, the coaching team, the management team, and the board should be doing, and saying, right, yes, these guys are great when it's going well, when we're in the middle of the season, but how do they handle pressure? How do they handle adversity? Because that focus has got to be just as important as how many fucking kick-ups they can do. Like, it has to be. I'm gonna do some calls. I'm gonna speak to Zane in a minute. I want to do some of these super chats because some of them are quite big donations. I want to be respectful. Liam Neville here says, Terry, over the years, you made me realize how much mentality matters in sport. It's easy to look good when things are going well. Can you show it when it matters? If you bottle top 4 to us, it will be embarrassing. I agree. It will be embarrassing. They'll call it embarrassing. And that's what I tweeted out earlier. I said, I'm absolutely fuming with these players. I said, wasteful up front, a disaster from De Gea leaves Man United's season on the brink of failure. And I really do feel like that. If we miss out on top 4, and by the way, playing like this, we ain't beating City. It's not happening. It's impossible. You cannot beat this City team performing and playing how we are now. It's impossible. Jason here says, everyone going in on De Gea for his mistake, but has the most clean sheets in the league. Mistake should not have meant losing the game. You are poor, deserve to lose. What's thoughts on that?
Waffle. Absolute waffle. What do you mean? Oh, he has what does the 15 clean sheets that he has before this game have to do with this? So, okay. So because I have 15 clean sheets, let me not make another save for the rest of the season. The hell does that even mean? Like, what's the point of saying that? What a waste of a super chat. You could have said so many better things than that.
But thank you for donating, Jason. I appreciate it personally on the terrace.
I'm just saying you could have used it better. I'm not saying don't super chat. Just make more sense.
We send the link out. I see you backstage. We'll get you on soon, my friend. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Glazers are a disease. Hope they live. But listen, I'm someone who blames the Glazers for a lot of stuff. And you could make a long-winded argument that the decade of regression has led to a poor mentality, which has created this. But I'm not even talking about the Glazers tonight. I'm not talking about the Glazers. I'm talking about these players and managerial mistakes. For F's sake, United, not only have you almost saved wet spam from relegation, but also going to bottle top 4 to Liverpool. Unbelievable. I do want to say about VAR as well. West Ham should have had a penalty tonight. It was a handball from Victor Lindelof. I'm going to keep the same energy.
I have an explanation that it's the actual official the official explanation, because it touched his hand, and the hand was in the line of the body. That's the official explanation, by the way. They said it here on TV, and it came from the VAR room. Actually, it's within the line of the body. They didn't overturn it. This is officially, Terry.
No, I hear you, and I know technically it isn't a handball, but I'm going to keep the same energy because I was screwing after we played Southampton. Same difference. Man falls on the floor and scoops it up, but because of a technicality in the law, it wasn't given. They should have had a penalty 110%. There is no doubt about that in my mind. Should have been a penalty. So, yeah. Like,
why do you think it was a penalty?
Because he leaned out with his body.
Because the way he moved his arm to the ball, I'm just someone that I can tell when. I can tell a scammer a mile away, and that was like a scammer's move. You know what I mean? It's like a mugger. You can tell when someone's trying to pickpocket. Like you almost better spit a pickpocket a mile away by the way they move, the way they look at you, what they're doing. He was like, no.
Yeah, but the law is the law. Let's agree that the law is it's a defect in the law.
Okay, so what I'll say is I'll rephrase my comment. It isn't a handball by the letter of the law, but the law is stupid. That's all I'm going to say about that one. It's a crazy one. Lost for words, but we can still do it. I'm on hopium. Listen, I hope we do it, and I hope we do it well. I hope we win our next 3 games, and we can kind of go out and feel like, well, at least we turned this round, right? If we cough and splatter over the line, I don't know how much I'll celebrate. I legitimately don't know how much I'll celebrate because it will feel tainted for me, but maybe I'm just being a panicky bastard. Terry, get this Inter-fan off the panel. He roasts Premier League fans and nobody watches his team and gets to roast him when he loses. He's riding free. That's one of the best super chats we've ever had. James O'Malley here says, cheers, Terry. Hope you're in good health. Players looked exhausted and out of ideas. Also, injuries doing you in. I've seen it with Arsenal last year. Is that a good enough excuse, panel, that we're tired and there's injuries?
I think it comes into go ahead, Zane. Actually,
yeah. Do you think that's a good enough excuse for Man United? Injuries and fatigue.
Well, obviously, from my point of view, I did call this and did say you guys have not been playing well and you're going to lose. I mean, if your 2 best centre backs are not playing, that's going to cause you serious problems. You can see from what happened to Liverpool. You can see what's happened to Arsenal recently. You lose. One thing people don't understand is that your defense and your goalkeeper generally doesn't change during the season. There's a reason why that's the case, because what they have to do, they have to work together, understand each other, work the line, communicate. And when you take out 2 key fundamental pieces out of that defense, you're going to have problems. You are going to have problems. And that's quite evident from what we're seeing now. And as I said, past 6-7 games, I think you've been struggling ever since you've had those key injuries to your defenders. There's no coincidence your results have now been dropping off, you know?
Mate, and listen, me and you kind of, we haven't agreed on a lot over the years, but we agree on that. And it's why I've been so surprised that Liverpool fans have been, we've got no chance, United will do it. I'm just thinking that's just reverse psychology, I think, in their own minds, because everyone who's been watching us in the last 3 weeks knows we're on the goddamn ropes. And look, we are exhausted. We have played a lot. Injuries are taking their toll, but it's not a good enough excuse for me. Yeah. It's not a good enough excuse for the way we've thrown these games away against the quality of opposition that we've had. But there we go. Martin says 241 days in the top. We can't have been in the top 4 for 241 days. We didn't even get into the top 4 till January, I don't think. But maybe I'm wrong. But there we go, Martin. Thank you. Paul De Gea, maybe it's time to sell. I think most United fans would agree. Emin here says, we've been telling you you're not good enough and not special. Only reason you're ahead of Liverpool and Chelsea is due to horrendous season. Welcome back home to Thursday nights. Rashford's 5-page paragraph incoming. I will say this, though, and this is where I will push back. If you've all been saying that we're not good and not special, then you shouldn't have been triggered when I said that we were over. So I was right as well then. We were overachieving when we were clearing 4th in the finals and everything else. So, again, listen, if that's your opinion, my bro, I appreciate the super chat and I respect it a lot. I genuinely do. If you believe that, though, and we get it, you have to admit it's an overachievement. Again, but I hear you. Why double standards, Terry? Why Spurs don't play well? It is on Conte, but when you don't, it's only on the players. The manager is to blame. Please stop protecting him. So I have blamed if you look at the collective games in the last 3 matches, go back and watch the match reactions. I've criticised many things that the manager has done. I've criticised what the players have done. When it comes to Tottenham, I've criticised Antonio Conte for his behaviour and how he speaks about the players and his conduct. I also criticised certain players, i.e. Eric Dyer, for not being good enough, but equally criticised Daniel Levy and the board at Tottenham because they haven't ever backed the manager properly. So again, there's no double standards. It's completely and utterly the same unbiased opinions from me. It's just what I think and feel. But I've criticised 3 factors at Tottenham: ownership, players and manager. And what have I criticised at Man United since the football terrace has arrived? The Glazers, my managers, and my players. Completely and utterly the same, my friend. But again, I do appreciate the super chat. I really, really do. Because Vedcore slow. Sorry, I already done that one. How long will David? Okay, I've already done that one. Sorry, boys. Most of the players are not good enough. It will take at least 2 summer windows to fix it. I think most people, agree. Terry, but players' mentality is latterly a manager's job. I see Den Haag heads down and looks lost and clueless, no passion, no in-game management. I mean, I've seen him screaming and shouting, so I think we all see things differently, Bash. But you've only got to look at the drop-off at Ajax this year. Yes, they've lost a couple of players as well with not having him there as a manager. They've fallen completely and utterly off as an example. It is on the manager, but it takes time. Liverpool. How long did it take Klopp to win a major trophy? 2.5 years?
Yeah.
But
Only thing I would say on that, Terry, though,
the point I'm
is
making, how many leads did he throw away? How many times did you guys look great and then things fade off? And that's not an indication that Klopp wasn't able to bring the right mentality in. There's got to be a balance between mentality and quality. It's an even balance. But you're absolutely right. The manager does need to be criticised for elements of this. There's no doubt about it. And I'm not saying he is free from blame. But sorry, you were going to say something, Zane?
Yeah, so I think the comparison to Liverpool is quite interesting. I suppose the difference between why Liverpool kicked on and did what they did was they started getting to finals. They started getting the top 4. So key pressure moments,
Yes,
they developed and understood. And I think that's a problem with your team, is that you've dropped out of like Europa League and all that kind of stuff. Your players in your team at the moment haven't been hardened to deal with pressurized situation, and unfortunately at the moment you haven't got enough leaders in your team to get your team over the line in certain tough games, and that's one of the reasons why I did say, especially for this run-in, that I was quite confident of Liverpool getting top 4, because we're used to having to win every single game against City, whether we win the league or not. We've had to build that mentality, that endurance, that hardness, that toughness, that mental toughness to grind at games, to keep going. And the problem, what I see with both yourself and Newcastle, who both lost today, is that you've never really been in those kind of pressurized situations on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Listen, I hear what you're saying completely. I do. And I think that's why some of it will go on the manager, but he's got us to 2 finals this year as an example. That is going to help us. Why I don't believe in throwing baby out with the bathwater so quickly, because I know that you'll get someone like Lee Gunner that will say, Real Madrid keep sacking managers and look how many Champions Leagues they've won. Do you know that he also brought up a point that they went 32 years without winning a Champions League? That's why they sack managers. But between the Champions League in 1966 and 32 years later when they won it, they sacked just as many managers in that time as they have done between 2001 and now. So sacking didn't make them win Champions Leagues for 32 years by sacking managers regularly, but it has done in this period, which proves that just sacking managers doesn't alone fix your football club. It's about the quality of players you buy. It's about the way you're run. And this is why I don't think Man United fans turning their back on Ten Hag is sensible right now, because he can't fix it all in one season. And this always was the case. Now, I didn't expect us to get as bad as we are right now. And we might improve again. But what we can't do, even if we improve, even if we win our last 4 games, is fucking ignore these last few games. And I don't think Ten Hag will ignore it either, because I think he's an elite manager, but we will see. We are not competing for the title next year with this ownership situation. The summer window is effed. I think Liverpool leapfrog us. We are in a top 4 race. I hear you on that, bro. I want to take some calls from some people backstage. YUFC is here with us. What you saying, bro?
To be honest, I don't like Man United fans. We always have a scapegoat. That's what it is. De Gea made a mistake today. He's not good enough. But come on, are we gonna play Butland in goal? Is that what you guys want? Seriously? Come on, we only have 4 games left. So this notion of blaming De Gea for the result of this game today is childish, because we can't do nothing about De Gea. That's who we have. So we got to work with what we have, and it is what it is. There's no excuse about this result. This was a relegation side, West Ham. West Ham celebrated today because they survived. They survived. They were 4 points off of relegation. What is the excuse today? My favorite player is Marcus Rashford. I love Marcus Rashford, but he has been. What's this excuse today? What is his excuse today? What is the excuse for this game? Is like identical to the Brighton game. We look like Terry. I was listening to you. We look like we're threatening. Yes, we had chances. Yes, but like it's copy and paste, copy and paste. We play Wolves next, same thing. It's like over and over and over again. It's like, how do we go into games expecting not to score a single goal? It makes no sense. Especially the fact that okay, you make a mistake, you allow one goal to go in. West Ham United are not confident that they will do whatever in their power to keep that one goal lead. We're the mighty Manchester United, no matter how crap we are. When we go away from home, it is a cup final. We've been saying this for years. But for whatever reason, it's like these players simply don't understand. Oh, we're going to London against West Ham. Oh, their relegation. It's going to be chill. No. I mean, come on. We play at home. It's completely different. Why? Because we're comfortable. At home, comfortable. Away from home, at this moment, I'm happy that we have, I think, 3 games left at home. I'm confident against anyone at home, but away from home is bad, so bad. And away from home, you expect your best players to show up.
Can I ask you a question, bro? Because I think you've been like I get what you're saying about David De Gea. There's no one else that's as good as him to come in right now. So I kind of get your point about playing him. I think people that want him out are talking more longer term. But in terms of fixing this away form, and Mo's brought this up as well, how do you think Man United in the summer goes about fixing this poor away form?
Oh my God, that has to be the question of the question. I don't even know if I have a straight answer for that. I generally feel like this team, there's no sense of jeopardy. Like I said, my favorite player is Marcus Rashford. We need to have a player that can force Marcus Rashford to be dropped. We need players that we can get that forces Bruno Fernandes to be dropped. The reality is they are our 2 best players. And of those guys don't do anything in any game, we simply cannot. We don't win. That's just the truth.
Can I add to something?
I just want to say real quickly, I'm looking at our away form. We've lost 9 games this season, and 8 of them have been away from home. We still actually have the 5th best home form in the league, right? Which is it just goes to show that it's certain away games are the difference between us and where City and Arsenal are. That's the long and the short of it.
Terry, can I add something?
I'm going to go to Zane first, and I'll come to you. Go on, Zane, and I'll come.
So I was going to touch on this because I know Jason obviously put a text about De Gea, one mistake. But I think to keep it very simple so everyone understands it, how you win your games away from home is scoring goals. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake. As long as you score 2-3, that mistake doesn't count. And I think that's my frustration a lot of times when we got people coming on, because I don't think they understand football. Football's quite a simple game if you actually know what you're talking about. And if you score goals away from home, you're more likely going to win the game, regardless of the situation and the thing. And I think the problem at the moment is that Ten Hag, for whatever reason, like some of the fans have said, changes things up. There's no consistency, aren't we? You got to get a rhythm going where the team starts scoring. Every team can go through a period where they're not scoring goals, but then you find a rhythm and you start scoring goals, right? And I think what you guys need to do in the summer is provide some creativity in the midfield and some competition for your strikers. So therefore, you're gonna increase the likelihood of generating those chances and putting them away. And if you put your chances away 9 times out of 10, you will actually get your results you need. It's not a secret. It's no secret sauce to it.
Mate,
do you know what I mean?
No, listen, I completely agree. I want to go to Staffy, but I agree with you because in a lot of some of the games have been bad. Even the Liverpool game. We go back to that day. We were the ones having the chances up until your goal. We bury that. We take those chances. The game may have been a little bit different. And I do think, and I want to get Staffy's take on this, is this just about buying better football players? Is it as simple as that?
Not just them being better football players, better. Terry, we talk about this a lot. Playing for Manchester United is not easy. Every game is a big game. West Ham today, they're bouncing because it's a big game for them. They want to beat Manchester United. It's the biggest name, not the biggest team, but it's the biggest name coming to their stadium every season. Okay, barring like Liverpool and Man City. So they wait for these games. The reason, Zayn, I want to disagree with you, and when I say I disagree with you guys, I'm respectfully disagreeing with you, so don't take anything personal. Why I'm disagreeing with you, Zayn, is because you're saying you still had time to score after that mistake. I agree with that. That is just like too easy and too simple to say it. If you watch the beginning of the show where Terry brought up the stats, he mentioned our possession and chances created. If you can repeat it, if I'm wrong, Terry, you said we had 7 shots to 1. We had 60% possession. After the goal, they had 14 to our 12, and I forgot what you said the possession was. This is not
we
my.
70,
Go ahead.
70 to 30.
Yeah, basically had 70% after that. Yeah.
Okay, so the percentage went up, the possession, but they still had more chances. And this is what I'm trying to talk about, Zayn. It's not my opinion. These are facts. When a goal like that happens, we have too many bad players with no character that heads drop. They showed a few replays. You saw Lindelof hold his head and go to the floor. You saw Rashford grab his shirt or whatever and then look at the manager. Some of these players, once something like that happens, it shakes them for the rest of the game. Now, I'm not saying that's an excuse, but that's what actually happens. What you're asking me to improve on, this is what we should improve on. We don't have enough players to. There was a crazy stat they said mid-game. The last time we went down 1-0 and came back in the second half and won was against Aston Villa in 2021. This is not my opinion, Zayn. These are facts that I'm talking about. So when I blame De Gea for how the game started, this is not my opinion. This is what happened. And the stats prove it after. The West Ham players, you can see they smelled blood. They're like, you know what? We got one easy goal. Let's attack them. Let's try to get something else. This is why they had limited chances compared to ours in terms of possession, because they only had 30% possession. But I can name you so many more dangerous chances. That chance where they could have got the penalty on Lindelof.
Yeah.
That goal that they scored, Antonio scored, but not the offside one, the one that was called a foul on De Gea because he elbowed it. These are much more dangerous chances than the ones we had because ours were half chances. And back to your point about the away form, bro, I do agree with you. But there's one thing that I said. I think me and Mo were speaking offline, and I was telling him, listen, we could lose away, but you still have to be a good footballing team. We lose to good footballing teams away. Our record today, before losing to West Ham, we conceded 1 goal to the bottom 8, not 1 defeat. We conceded 1 goal, and it was that Iwobi goal in the beginning of the season. Ever since, we have won every game until today. That shows you that, yes, we are not good away from home as you desire, but you still have to be a decent team. West Ham were not a decent team today when the game started. We had full control of that game, and the flick of the switch was De Gea. Now, I'm not saying, I'm blaming De Gea, so bring in Butland next game. I did not say that. These were not the words out of my mouth.
So how about you play the bottom teams twice instead of playing the top team away from home?
But it's CMO. You can laugh about it. You can laugh about it. Listen, you can laugh about it. I am
because but this logic is flawed.
How? Yeah, no. This is not a logic. Mo. I'm listing facts to you. When I tell you we beat every bottom 8 team, we conceded 1 goal. But then this is not me creating.
You're moving the goalpost.
I understand. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, bro.
Because I'm listing facts. I'm listing the facts.
No,
you're
right.
That's an excuse to lose to these good teams. I'm telling you how bad these players are, because you could beat these bottom 8 teams, as I said, but once you're against actual good footballing teams, you're getting battered. Now today was an anomaly. Not an anomaly. Today was an exception because you actually lost to a bad team. So now we went from saying, okay, you're losing to the top 8 away from home to you're just generally losing away from home, and that's not me making an excuse. That's me just listing what actually happened.
Just on what you said though, bro. Yeah. It's quite damning what you've just said there, because fundamentally you're saying you're going to bottle top 4 now, because you're saying I
didn't say that. I did not say
that. From the fact of what? So mistakes happen in football. It's part of a football game. Over 90 minutes, people will make mistakes. It's human nature, right? You ever get a dodgy call, that goes against you. So what you're saying is, if something like that happens, that's it. your players heads drop, and that's it. They're at the game for the rest of the game.
I'm telling
That
you what
is
happens. This is what I
unacceptable.
see, Zane. I've seen
Yeah,
this
but
for years.
if you're doing that, how are you going to win the next 3-4 games, bro?
No,
Because
I just
from my
Because
point
we're
of
not-
view, if something, for example, you know, some person shoots, it hits a defender and deflects in. Is that it now? Your
then-
team's done for the rest of the game
No,
now. They're
no,
not
but-
gonna see. That's what you're basically saying, right? I'm just.
I'm saying the heads
paraphrasing what
drop,
you're saying.
Zane. I'm saying
But
the
then-
heads drop,
and
and that's
I'm
not
sorry,
my opinion.
You lot are Man United.
Yeah, tell the
You've
players
got
that. Don't
quality
tell me
players
that.
in there.
Zane. I'm
You
not
can't
gonna
do
pinch.
that.
Let me just regret for a minute. I think
we're not
we're
being
missing.
like that anymore. Let's not do that.
I think you're missing Staffy. Staffy's not saying that's what we are and it's acceptable. He's saying that's why. He's answering the question as to why does it go wrong. He's not saying it's right. He's not saying it's acceptable. He's
I'm just saying the facts.
That's what happens. And I think that look, I hear where he's coming from, and that's why I think that's why this is a mentality issue for me, and it does need to be addressed. Mo, how did Man United fix it though? That's the big question. You know, what do we have to do?
In the last 6 years, only 2 teams have challenged Man City, which is Liverpool and Arsenal, by imposing your game plan away from home against every team. Arsenal this year challenged Man City because they were going to every game away or home, imposing their will. You can have all the ball you want, but you have the ball where you want, which is what Man City do. You don't do that. Manchester United against big teams, you don't do that. It's down to players, of course, getting used to the manager's plan, and it's not happening now for Man United. That's why you win against smaller teams in the Premier League, but you lose against the teams that have better footballing abilities away from home. It's a simple, you impose your game plan. You do not flip-flop when you go against a big team away from home, you defend. That is not sustainable. And this is what we said about Spurs in the beginning. They are not sustainable. They don't play sustainable football. And Ten Hag's football, by the way, he has a brand of football. And until he gets, let me say, his players and his plan impacted in players' heads, you're not going to be able to challenge. And maybe by getting better players or having more time. Again, Liverpool took 3.5 years for them to win major trophies. He was hired in October 2015. His first trophy was 2019. It takes time. People have to be patient.
You know, one thing people don't mention is, and I'm gonna be honest here, we missed one of our most influential players, and that's an 18-year-old from our academy. I think when people kind of and me just thinking about that, we paid like 100 million for Anthony, then we paid 75 million or something like that for Jadon Sancho, and people always would like to mention how much Man United spend, but one of our most influential players this season, breakout star, was Garnacho. The player that has majority of our goals is Marcus Rashford from our academy. So I think one of the issues we have is we spend so much money. Yes, we can buy players, but it's buying the right players. That's just the truth. You build a team, you buy the players that the manager wants that can fit in the system, and it doesn't matter how much they cost. They can cost 10 million, they can cost 15 million, they can cost 20 million. You know, one player that actually surprised me a lot was from a different club over at Liverpool is Gakpo. How Gakpo came in this January and fit in club system, and it didn't cost that much. Versus, you know, the Darwin Núñez, you spent all that money and he's struggling. It's not really about how much money you spend. It's about buying the right players for the team. So I mean, we could buy all the players we want, but
you did this year, my friend. Malacia pushed Luke Shaw to be his best version of Luke Shaw.
Yeah.
Casemiro changed your club the way you play football. Okay, Anthony, based on Man United people, they are happy with his progression. And who else did you buy? Lisandro Martinez changed the way your backline looks. So you're actually buying the right players. So I'm not sure.
But and this is where I think. Oh, sorry, you were going to say something, Kojo. Go for it, bro.
Well, I was going to say, we had that blueprint a long time ago, didn't we? Of course, I'm going back to where Alex Ferguson was there. But if you talk about the signings that we had, Vidic came out of nowhere, made sense for the team. Evra, you know, and when you signed, an upcoming superstar like Wayne Rooney, at that time, 30 million was a lot of money, but it made sense for the team. Man United lost their way with that. So when you're talking about spend, the issue that someone that Ten Hag has is that we've got a lot of players there that have come for money that shouldn't have been spent on them, and they've come in and they're not doing what we want them to do at Man United. They've had different managers that play different systems. Mourinho is different to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is even different to Michael Carrick. Michael Carrick is a bit different to Ten Hag. So you've got players that, and even someone like Rashford, who came through Louis van Gaal when he came burst into the scene. You talk about different managers, different systems, different ways of playing. So you have to keep adapting to different things. Man United are now buying players that make sense. Absolutely. Do we agree with the fee sometimes? Absolutely not. I don't agree with the Anthony fee, but if he works for the team and what Ten Hag wants to do, so be it. But this is, I think everyone's making that point. Until we get to build that team, we're not going to be challenging for the title. That's why I said 3 years.
I hear you, and listen, I agree with what you said, and I love what you said, Mo, and I think you're right. I think sometimes there's games where you change how you play. So if you're not quite as good as the team you're going away to, you're going away to City, you can't quite beat them at their own game. Fergie would do this, and Fergie had some of the greatest teams that Europe's ever created. Sometimes he'd go away and he'd play a little bit differently. However, football has evolved from then, as we all know as well. I agree with you, though. We need to put our style on people on a more regular basis, but that is born out of exactly what the boys have just said. It's about buying the right people, and he has brought some players into the team that have helped change the way we play, but there's still a lot here that are not what he wants long term. And I'm seeing people react to. I knew he was going to defend De Gea in his press conference. Any Man United fan who is shocked that he's done that, you're off your head. He's never going to. And this is why, again, I defend it to a degree. We all like laughed at like Conte when he was slagging off Spurs players and said it's terrible. But then we kind of want our managers to do it when it's a player that we're unhappy with. And for me, it's a case of you've got to maintain the right energy. He's never going to slag any of these players off. But we know, look how he talks about Harry Maguire. But we know he don't want him. If you asked him right now publicly, what do you think of Maguire? He's going to tell you what a lovely man, brilliant footballer, had a tough time. Doesn't mean any of it. He's just being professional. Imagine your bosses went on the internet today and just said how bad you were at your jobs. Imagine how you'd actually feel. Like it'd be peak, right? He isn't going to do that. And that's why I feel like he deserves criticism, the manager, but I want to give him time. I want the club to actually fulfill a project with a highly capable coach to build a team within his image. Look how long it took Klopp building a team that, for 3.5 years to win. Even when you look at like City were a team that played pretty good football and were already winning titles. And it took a couple of years for Pep to get them into one of the best teams around. And they were already right up near the top. And that's why I don't like these comparisons, like I said earlier, to, but look at Bayern Munich do, look at Real Madrid do. Yeah, but they're at the peak of their powers domestically. They're number one, number two in their country and have been for the past 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In Real Madrid's case, pretty much forever in Spain, they've been at the top. You're not talking about a fallen giant who's had a decade in the wilderness where the club is falling apart all around them, needing to be rebuilt. You need to find, look at AC Milan. AC Milan are getting better, right? Or am I wrong? They're on their way. They're getting back. But look how long it's taken them. There was no way. Remember that last peak team of theirs in like 2007? They weren't going to go from being shit to having that team in a season. It's crazy. And that's why I kind of get what rivals want to do. And they want to slam it. They'll say, you're waffling, Terry. Stop protecting your manager. But they know what I'm talking about is true. That's why they're saying it. However, big more spending is needed. Sorry, go on, Mo.
This is going to trigger a lot of people. Pep, in his first season at Man City, every single reporter went on him when his players made mistakes. And he kept saying, I'm going to keep asking my players to make these mistakes until we get it right. Yes, I'm comparing Pep to Ten Hag, because sometimes I see what Ten Hag wants to do, and players will make mistakes. It's not going to be the De Gea mistake, but some players will make mistakes, and people need to accept that the coach sometimes will need to protect his players. The point is, you need to protect your players sometimes. You cannot just go off every time a player makes a mistake and just crush them and destroy them in the media. That's not going to happen from top coaches. It never happens.
And
no,
and
man,
to go off,
I hear you. Sorry, go on.
let me add something to it. Actually, I was agreeing with Ma. I was gonna say, and actually, when you think of it, this is probably the first season that we've seen so many mistakes from De Gea with his feet. Like he's had mistakes in the past, but they were like, saving mistakes. But this year, you can see how many, like no one really noticed how bad he is with his feet as much as they did this year. Because like Mo said, like when Pep went in, he said, I'm going to have these players keep making these mistakes until they learn from it. And the ones that didn't learn from it, he sold them and he got better players. When you see someone like De Gea making all these mistakes, you can see that it's because the coach is trying to impose a different way of playing. So these flaws in some players like him are getting exposed. Now, obviously, the solution to it would be that he either improves, which doesn't look like he will because he's too old to, learn a new style of play that he's never done for the past decade. So the solution would be that he's eventually going to get someone who's better. But to just completely dismiss that Ten Hag has a style of play and he's trying to change something with this team, then you're either deluded or you just don't watch and you just want to bend this. It's one of the two. There's no way you actually watch games, whether we win or lose, and you don't see like, okay, he's trying to do something with this team. He's trying to play it a certain way, but he still can't get it going yet.
Do you know what? I was going to ask you guys something about the manager, right?
Yeah, go on.
Obviously, you guys are saying, you're comparing him to Top and his project. Arteta's doing his project. I mean, I'm quite interested. At the moment, I'm on the fence. I'm not made my decision on if I rate him as a manager and if he's actually going to do something. Obviously, you know what I thought about the C-Tech Klopp that everyone was gassing, Tuchel, and I never saw it in him. My question for you guys is obviously, you've got this new ownership thing happening at the moment, but you've also got Newcastle, who've got proper owners now, who are now playing the Eddie Howe type of football. They're going to get more quality in over the summer. Liverpool, I've got a new formation, this inverted fullback. So we're going to strengthen our midfield, which has been a weakness for the past 2-3 seasons. So the question really for you guys is this: Will Ten Hag actually make much impact or inroads next season? Because the competition around him is getting stronger. Poch is coming out of Chelsea as well. So that's my question for you guys, because are you being unrealistic in thinking Ten Hag is going to be up there next season based on what's happening around in other clubs around you?
What's up there, Zane? Define up there.
What's up there? Is it top 4? Or...
Challenging for the title or being comfortably within those, because it's top 5 next season. Is it a case you guys are going to just squeeze or scrape 5 or 4th, and you guys are going to be happy with that?
Let me be really honest. Whatever we want to do next season, we have to face the challenges in front of us. That's as simple as it gets. If he comes to the team and says, "Hey, let's challenge for the title," they got to hold that and they got to challenge City, Arsenal, whoever's challenging for it. Now, I don't expect this team to be challenging for the title next year. I think it needs 3 years, because like I said earlier, 17 players. I was saying that 3 years ago. And to this day, I'm still saying we need a lot of players now. That's fixing the first 11, the substitute options, nice bit of rotation, nice bit of depth. Quality in depth as well is the most important thing as well, because I can't do another year of, I don't know, Anthony coming off and potentially it being Elanga or someone like that. God help me. That's what it's going to be. But even if it's going for the top 4, you said it, Chelsea are going to get a new manager next year and they sign a lot of players. If they get the balance right at some point, there'll be a problem. Newcastle will spend a lot of money, and they can because they've got a lot of money to spend. You guys will do your thing. Liverpool, eventually, if you fix that midfield, you'll challenge again as well, whoever that will be. Arsenal have got their heads together. I don't know what kind of Tottenham will turn up, because for some reason, Tottenham suck, but for some reason, they keep getting Champions League or European League football, and City are City. So whether the ambition is, Man United got to play it. It's just as simple as it gets. Man United's ambition every year is minimum Champions League football. People might me that.
I think he will. I think he'll.
We have to make Champions League every year. That's the challenge. You got to face it.
What trophy as well, or just?
I would love a trophy. I would love a trophy. But
listen,
we ideally, in terms of the league itself, if we're talking about everyone in the league and challenging for stuff, top 4. It has to be top 4. Simple as that. I don't care who's doing what.
I agree with you, bro. I agree with you. I do think he will demand from these players to compete. But you can demand all you want. It doesn't mean they're actually going to do it. So knowing the way Ten Hag has been this year with this team, that he's not really lightly with them. And we've seen us, besides today, we've seen us bounce back strongly from so many defeats this year. So based on his personality and what we've seen for him this first season, I think he will demand a competition next year. But that doesn't mean that it's going to happen. We can't keep saying here how we need an overhaul, and we expect these players are going to come in next season and fit like a glove. We have some players that will improve, some players that will go, some players will get used to the system. But you're still going to bring new players in, and they'll need time to gel and develop. And depends on the profile player you're getting.
You know what's really funny? At the beginning of the season, I remember, what do you expect, Terry? And I was like, I want to see the beginnings of a style of football. I'd love to push maybe for top 4, top 6. And if we could win a trophy, it would be like an overachievement. And of course, over the course of a year, your expectations change because of where you find yourself. But to answer your question, I'd put on what Mo said. I do want to see Ten Hag's style of football more pronounced and used even more regularly. I looked at today's starting lineup. 7 of that starting lineup, either in the positions they started or individual people. I don't really want to, like, I look at De Gea, Malacia, Shaw as a centre back, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Weghorst in a 10, Bruno on the left-hand side. Even Eriksen is a regular starter in midfield. I look at all of these players and think to myself, Rashford as a striker. I don't want to see that team this time next year. With what we should do in the summer in January, and especially if we get new owners, we should never be starting teams like this again. When you actually look at that side, and it's not an excuse, we should still be beating West Ham. There are so many based on the style of football Ten Hag wants to play, and the individual players themselves. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's five players in there that are square pegs in round holes. And then as De Gea is a goalkeeper, he hasn't got the ability on the ball to play the style of football we want anyway. So I look at it this way. If we have a good summer and we bring in an extra 4 or 5 players, 6 players maybe, that can play how the manager wants, I expect us to do well again next. I expect us to be in the top 4. And depending on how good City are again next year and how good Arsenal are, we could push towards a challenge. There's no doubt. However, we buy it incorrectly. We don't fill the holes, or I think I don't want to take it away from Mo because Mo said it. We don't implement that style on a more regular basis. We won't improve. So I expect us to, absolutely. I think Ten Hag is a good enough manager to get us to challenge and compete. There's no doubt in my mind. Is he good enough to win a Premier League? Only time's going to tell. We don't have the answer. Same as that the jury's out on that. There's only 2 managers in the league that we have answers for on that we know 110% can win the Premier League. The rest of them, the jury's still out, and it's out on Ten Hag. And I know he's won the Eredivisie, a different level of pressure, but the one thing with being at Man United is different. The pressure playing for us is different compared to most other teams in the Premier League and in Europe. And I think some clubs, it's easier to implement a style of football because even if you lose 3, 4, 5 games, your fans don't really get on you. It's different at clubs like Man United. It's different at Liverpool. It's different at Barcelona, Real Madrid. I wanted to have a quick chat with Kevin. Kevin's been sitting here for a while, nice and quiet. What is that?
Terry, I'm going to drop off, though. Thank you for having me, bro. Take care, guys. Big up.
How you guys doing? Can you guys hear me well?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with what you're saying. From what I've seen this year, because we've seen glimpses of his patterns of what he's trying to get out of this team. But I think he's trying to get results, obviously, because he, just like you said, you have to get results here at United. You can't just go 4, 5, 6 trying to get your play, losing every game, because that's going to get even worse. So what he's trying to do is I think he's trying to balance where he's trying to teach him how to play and also get the results he needs, which is why you'll see him sit back, play long balls and just try to do everything you can to win. But there's 2 things, and there's something I noticed today that I've been noticing a little bit more, and I don't know if it's just me. We could have possession of the ball, especially when we're losing, but I don't see almost any intensity. It's just back and forth or sideways for a little bit. There'll be, like, I remember especially a lot with Lindelof, and I'm not scapegoating him, I like him. But especially when he was having it and he was going up, and then I just see back to Luke Shaw. And then everybody's making runs, and it's just, all right, back to Wan-Bissaka. Now it's going to go slowly back to Lindelof. And it's like, where's the intensity to push it? It's not like we're winning. We're not trying to control a game right now.
You're absolutely spot on. And do you know what's crazy? I'm old enough to remember what we were playing football like in the 80s when Fergie took over. And it was like that. It was almost like it didn't matter if they won or not. And I don't get it. And you've heard Ten Hag call this out in so many. And by the way, as we got into the 90s, Fergie's football changed. I've heard Ten Hag maybe say this in about 10 or 11 interviews. The players didn't come with the right attitude and passion and desire today. And I think, again, certain football fans hate those words. But Pep and Klopp use them more than any other. Or variations of those words. You very rarely hear Pep talk about the tactics. He always talks about application, energy, work rate, mentality. And these players lack it. That's why, for me, the system isn't so much the issue; it's the people trying to implement it. If that makes, if you give me the tools that a brain surgeon needs to save someone's life and let me do it, I'm gonna kill him because I don't know what I'm doing. Like you can give me, I can't do it. And the manager just doesn't have the tools right now, in my opinion, to get the very best football out. Now, rivals will say waffle, excuse. Do you know what I mean? Do you want some syrup with that? Because they don't want to hear you defend your manager. But I'm behind this guy. I don't agree with everything he's doing. I don't agree with keeping De Gea. I don't agree with some of the starting lineups he picks. But I do think long term he'll get it right for Man United. I do think.
I agree with that. Like you guys were saying that we need, obviously better quality, and that'll help us out tremendously. Because I could see the patterns, I could see little glimpses of what he's trying to do. But on top of just having quality, I think we need to get also the right mentality, which is what you're saying. You want people that fight. Like the two that stand out for me this year is Martinez and Antony. No matter what kind of game they're having, no matter who's pushing them, no matter who they're battling against, they do not want to give. They hate. You could tell they hate losing. Martinez will go in with everything he has. You saw Antony last week against Dunk, where he just stood up to him. You're like 4 feet compared to him.
Nah,
And
I
he,
love that
he
guy.
did not back down.
Nah,
And
I
you
love
want
that
to
guy.
see that. You want to see that in your team. You want to fight until the end. You want to give everything you have. Too many times I've seen with the team we have, with a lot of the players, they'll pull out of tackles. They'll step aside and they'll let the other team do what they want. And it's like, get in there, throw your body on the line, get in there and fight for the win, fight for the game. And I think we need that as well as the quality, not just quality and then them to shy away.
Do any of you on the panel feel like, because I do feel like that intensity was there after those first couple of games, when up until the World Cup, it was kind of there. I feel like December and January, February, it was there. Do you feel like there's almost an element where some of these players are just mentally checked out after winning the Carabao Cup, or fatigue set in, pressure set in, and they've almost, I can use the expression, they've like regressed back to the characters they were able to be prior to this manager? Do you feel there's an element of that that's crept in, or is that too simplistic?
And I think it is. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a bit simplistic because we do create goal scoring opportunities, and we're not clinical. I think it really just comes down to some of the plays we have are simply just not clinical. Today, Martial should have scored today. I think he should have scored twice in the span of like 30 or 40 seconds, where Bruno puts in a brilliant cross and he just completely misses it. And I feel like also with Antony, I feel like the only way he scores is if he cuts in and scores an unbelievable goal. And so again, Rashford is our most clinical player we have. And again, if Rashford is not scoring, like Terry, you said earlier, there's no one else. I think the only person that has scored, I remember Bruno scoring against Villa, and we scored 2 against Tottenham. But other than that, we haven't been clinical enough. We create chances, we have the chances, but we just don't finish them.
So what, Terry? I'll add my 2 pence on this, right? As a rival, watching you guys, right? But it's again, being simplistic is a mentality, because let's be honest, and I want you Man United fans to be honest. You had a nice easy run in the Carabao Cup, and you had Newcastle in the final. You did not play any proper serious team, so it was, in my opinion, you didn't really got put under that pressure, apart from the finals you had to beat, but as against Newcastle, Eddie Howe. So it wasn't like a City or a Liverpool whereby, your nuts were on the line and you had to show up. And I think what I'm seeing with Man United at the moment is that you can bully certain teams, but when they start fighting back, and that's why I was quite strongly saying that West Ham will probably beat you in this game, because West Ham at home, they don't play around. They're physical. They will do everything they can to get the edge in that game. And what we're seeing with Man United is that if they don't like getting kicked, they don't like fighting, and it's not the manager system. It's unfortunately the mentality of the players, and it's been quite toxic for a couple of years.
I think you're putting on a really good thread there. There is a Mike Tyson's famous quote: "Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face," and you've got to be able to handle the adversity and get through it and come out the other side. I have some super chats here. First one says, beginning to think Ten Hag isn't the Messiah everyone thinks he is. Jin, I understand that feeling, but I don't know if anybody ever said he was a Messiah. I don't remember any Man United fan really talking about, I think this guy could be as good as Pep or as good as Klopp. They're the best two managers in the world, but they're unattainable for Man United forever. But I do think there's an opportunity for this guy to be a very, very good manager. But I appreciate your opinion.
Could I say something on that real quick, Terry?
Yeah, go on, bro. Go on, bro.
I've seen enough from Ten Hag to give me confidence and, look forward to what he's going to bring next year. And I think, some people, like you say, they go over, they overpraise him and all that. I do want to see him, because I've seen something where his subs, they almost look pre-planned now. Something I really, really, really loved when he first came in and the first few months when we were doing really well is he was almost ruthless. If you weren't doing good, halftime you're out. I'm going to shift him around and I'll put someone else in. And it seems almost like he strived away from that. And it's almost like, all right, you're going to get an hour. I don't care how you play. Just do what you got to do. And an hour, I'm going to put in this player. And I don't see that same ruthlessness where it was halftime, for example, or if it's early or I have to change it. This isn't working. I have to change it. And I really hope to see that. I really hope he can improve that because he was doing really well. And it's almost like he's gone backwards in that. Yeah. And I don't know if it's just me that thinks that.
Mate, I get where you're coming from. When we used to make like a sub at halftime or we changed that, but right, here we go, we'll start playing now. I don't feel it anymore. But then maybe that isn't him. Maybe that's because some of these players have lost belief. So he's bringing the guys in, but they don't believe in them. So and again, but I think that's why it's a fair challenge. Where we're going to get the answers is if he has a good summer, does he go to that next level? I think that'll be key. So another super chat here from Aslan who says Mo was spitting. Also, the rebuild is a myth. Why aren't City, Liverpool, and Arsenal targeting 30-year-old midfielders? And yet we signed two of them. Hoodwinked. What other 30? Oh, I was in Casemiro. But this is the one thing though. But Ten Hag has addressed this. Man United, in terms of the pressure we're under, it's to create a rebuild and to win at the same time. So win trophies as you're moving forward. That's why we did what we did. However, if we would have got his number one targets in the summer, we wouldn't have signed Casemiro. So again, that's where you move away from just the manager. And like Weghorst was not wanted. He wanted Gakpo. The deal was done, but the Glazers didn't give him the money. So Gakpo went to, and then Liverpool came in and gazumped it. If the money was there for Gakpo, Man United would have bought him at the beginning of January for the manager. So that's where I look at Ten Hag and go, I'm not going to overly criticize him because he didn't get all the players that he wanted. And then what you have, when you don't have everybody that you want, maybe some of your other individuals are not quite performing to how you want them to be. Certain players in Liverpool's team, now not just stars, became better footballers when the stars got added. So your whole team became better once Alisson and Van Dijk were there. Everybody around them became better and suddenly looked like they were more expensive football players, as an example. It's not a dig. It's because the better a team is, the better they look. Man United fans know this. I know we're going to history lessons again. But when Nicky Butt and John O'Shea and Wes Brown left Man United, they weren't as good. Look at Pedri when he left Barcelona and went to Chelsea. He was good, but he wasn't Pedri at Barcelona. It wasn't Pedro at Barcelona. It wasn't the same player because he weren't surrounded by the same quality. So I do think there's a mixture in that. Jacob here says, as a Liverpool fan, we've got players who feel blood and want to fight, but Man United don't have this mentality and they need to go and be replaced. I think that's fair. The game's about goals is what Crypto Nation says here. It very much is. That is it. Maradon the Moron says, reaching hard. Let me ask you guys a genuine question. Is what I just said there about improving the squad, is that a reach or is that a fair comment?
It's fair.
It's a fair comment.
I'm just checking because Maradon hates me, but he does watch every single minute of every single video that I ever make. So I love you,
But Terry, I don't get it. Like Rayo fans, will say whatever they want, but then it's like people have amnesia. We all been through the horrific season last season. Man United, we were a joke. Like Man United was a joke. We were so bad. We were so bad that Man United fans we were all saying get rid of every single player that we have. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know, sometimes Riot fans, they just say one thing and the next time they just contradict each other. So it's like whatever.
Well, this is what Blaze says here. Terry, ask Arsenal fans what phase United rebuilt. So we're in phase 1. That's what we could just do. But we're phase 1, bro. We're phase 1. So you know what I mean? That's the thing with all of it. Like,
do you know what, Terry? I've been quite shameless this season because obviously Liverpool are not doing well. I've been supporting City, so I've been watching a lot more of their games, and there's a reason why they're successful.
Yes.
Because every player hurries, chases, does the date work. They know the dark arts, the right time to, do a little foul, nudge in the back. They do all of that. Whereas your team at the moment are soft. And that's the facts. You guys are
complacent. Man United, after Liverpool, the problem is Man United were winning before Liverpool. And you guys were in a great form. And you remember you had the separation from everybody below you. And then you clinched top 4. And Tottenham were there and thereabout. And then the Liverpool loss happened. And everybody brushed it when you started winning against Real Betis. And then that's exactly... And I think people were not looking at the defects of the team. And I think the players got complacent because, as you said, Zain, the players are not putting the effort that they used to put in January and February.
And you know what, Mo? You're bang on. You're bang on about the players not putting the effort in. It's a bit like, you ever got home from work and you go, I'm going to go to the gym. Then you sit down and eat a sandwich, have a cup of tea on the sofa and start watching a TV show and you can't get your ass up. That's what it's like. Or you ever been in the gym? I've done this before because I used to be in the gym. You're really in the workout and then you got to take a phone call. You're 10 minutes and then you come back in the gym and you're like, I can't be bothered now. That's what's like when you switch off sometimes. If you haven't got the right mentality, you're done out here. But boys, I want to thank you all for coming on. Great show, great challenge, great opinions from everybody, including the rivals. My viewers, you're amazing. My super chatters, you're absolutely brilliant. Please smash the like button before you go and go and listen to the Top 6 podcast now. It's out on Spotify. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in our description below. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again very, very soon.